Hello and welcome to Albion Online, where we run around doing random things and I talk about life. Today we are going to be talking about how if you want to be a certain kind of person and you want to do the right thing, it's best to not try to be a really strong person, but just try to put yourself in the right position so that you don't have to compromise your values and you can be true to yourself. So, for example, maybe most of us have some sort of a breaking point. So if I take you away and I bring you down into a dungeon and I start ripping your fingers off and I say, you better, sell out and tell me the stuff I want to know or otherwise it's the end. Well, I don't know. Maybe you're just a really strong, disciplined person. But if you're most people, there's a certain point where you're just going to say, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to tell you what you want to know. Just stop ripping my fingers off. I don't want to go through any more pain because I just want to live. I'll tell you where I had that cache of gold hidden down underneath my, house in that secret chest or whatever it is. I'll just tell you what you want to know because I don't want the pain. That's kind of how it is. So if you want to be able to be, true and you don't want to have to sell out somebody or you don't want to have to, violate your values, the best way to do this is to avoid being that person who has put themselves in a position where the only way for you to eliminate pain is by doing something that's wrong. Now, in our lives, we have a lot of things which are kind of lies we tell ourselves. It's that we say, okay, this is what I stand for, by golly, this is my political views, this is my opinion on life. Everybody's got an opinion on life these days. And then the reality of our life is we don't really live by that at all, because our whole life is defined almost 100% by us doing what we are called on to do by entities who have control over us. We might think we have free agency, but the truth is we don't, because all it takes is your boss calls you and says, hey, you need to go do this now. And you're going to go do it just like the good slave you are, because you don't have any ability to quit. You need that money. You don't have, money set aside to where you could quit your job and be fine. Like, you don't have any options, right? So then you are going to sell out. And no matter how much you talk big and you talk strong and you act like you have a specific set of convictions in your life, truth is you don't. You have zero convictions, because you're going to be defined. Just like a slab of tofu in a vegan dish, you're going to have your life 100% defined by whatever the hierarchy is which you are choosing to surround yourself with. And that's where you really want to figure out, how do you escape the hierarchy? In the social pyramid that is often shared around, they say that, especially pertaining to men, there's the alpha male. We hear about this, the dominant figure. Then you got the beta, which is kind of that loyal, second in command, lieutenant kind of a person. The person that's there, they're smart, they're loyal, they manage, but they're always managing somebody else's, business. They're not really the chief. Then you have other, other letters in there, which basically is just a lot of words for, you got your creatives, you got your people who just are spineless, folks who don't have any courage and they don't have any sense of identity and they have no discipline, But then you also have this category they call a sigma. A sigma is the person who's outside of the hierarchy. So you have kind of the people that are kind of on one side that are in that hierarchy of chain of command, of dominance. But then you also have people that are outside of that. And anybody can be outside of it. And if you're not in the hierarchy, if you're not defined by a hierarchy, then you don't have to really figure out where you fit in the pecking order. Because ultimately, your pecking order is just you. It's yourself. It's you just doing what's right for you. But the only way you can do that is if you invest in things like financial freedom. And if you are jealous about the boundaries you set for your personal time, if you have a determination to guard against things that erode your ability to be an individual. And that could be relationships, it can be the way you handle your finances. What do you value more? Do you want to have a sense of liberty to where if your boss asks you to do something unethical, you could just quit, no harm, no foul? Or do you want to go to Starbucks and go out to eat and have the nice house and have the nice car and do all this other stuff, and then you pay for it with your soul? Do you want to have a ton of people in your life? You got friends, you got family, you got everybody there to take a minute here, a minute there, an hour here, an hour there. Your weekend is filled with stuff to do, places to go, and you're always hanging out with somebody and you're always trying to virtue signal to kind of see, are you impressing your friends and your neighbors and your spouse and all that stuff? Are you going to live for that, or do you accept, maybe a little bit more of a lonely life, a little bit more of a solitary one, but then you have that liberty to where if you say, okay, this is what I need to do right now to survive, or this is what I need to do to work on myself, this is my passion, no one's going to come along and say, no, it's not. That's stupid. You're going to do what I want, because if you don't do what I want, then, you're a loser, or, I'm not going to respect you, or I'm going to try to, punish you, or something like that. Do we choose to step out of the hierarchy and be self-defined, self-made, or do we choose to be that person who's always sold out because someone else has bought such a big stake in our life that we don't really have a controlling interest in our own destiny anymore? That's a super important thing to think about, especially as we look at times that are potentially challenging. We might face times of war in our lifetime. We might face times of financial adversity that affects the world in new ways in our lifetime. And it's important for us in times of peace, when we're able to sit around and play a video game and enjoy a nice Christmas Eve Saturday afternoon. It's important for us to ask these important questions of how much we allow other people to control us, because you don't want to be controlled by someone else who is going to do the wrong thing for you and force you to essentially be invested in your own demise. So think for yourself, be an individual, get out of the hierarchy, and do what's right for you. Not what's right for your boss or your spouse or your friends or anything like that. At the end of the day, you need to be true to yourself. Thanks.